Hey gang, it's Azseth. I hope all is going well. I'm gonna make another video. There goes my first This is going to be just a general thing for all of my legion of followers, by the thousands and thousands of you. Some of you probably heard me say several times that I don't care what you think, I care why you think it. This has been a philosophy I kind of adhered to most of my life. Didn't put, a phrase to it or anything like that. Just kind of lived it and figured I could put it into something that makes it easier for people to remember, retain, and hopefully utilize themselves. The time that I actually put that motto together in terms of the words was I was having a conversation with my mom before she passed away. I didn't have too many conversations with her after, but we were talking about just racism. I don't remember how it got brought up. I think it was maybe around the time of Ferguson and all that nonsense. And she was talking about how she felt kind of guilty because at times she felt racist, and I asked her why. Now, my mom grew up, we're from Southeast Michigan. She grew up in and around Detroit, has friends of every race that as long as I've known her. Wonderful lady, and it didn't strike me that she was racist. And she went on to talk about how there were times when she would feel racist because if there were a group of people, and the term she used was, there's a group of black guys walking, I have a tendency to just get nervous, maybe clutch my purse or walk across the street. And I asked her, if you saw several black people walking and they were well dressed and looked social, would you do the same? And she said no. So in her mind, she was thinking about the example of when you have 3 or 4 people walking up on you and they just look like trouble. And then the next question I asked her, so I was like, if you saw 3 guys and they were white and Hispanic, they were tattooed, hat sideways, being loud and obnoxious as they walked, would you do the same? And she said yes. So kind of helping her debunk her racist thing. But some people don't think about that. Growing up in certain areas, you're exposed to certain things that will influence what you think. And sometimes that can take the form of prejudices, biases, bigoted opinions, things like that. And they're not always wrong. What they need to do is be challenged and thought about. Not everyone who thinks a certain way does it out of sheer ignorance. Or, I'm sorry, out of malice, or I should say they do it out of ignorance. It's not, hate. It's not that they defy logic. So that was one quick story about that. Another one that I used growing up. Again, I grew up in the middle of Detroit in a small town called Hamtramck. And me and a guy, I can't even say he's my friend, we were hanging out at the time. I want to say I was 8 or 10 or something like that. We were at a baseball field, and what happened was a group of 5 or 6 black guys walked up on us. So we're 8 or 9 or 10 or something like that, and then these guys, there were 2 or 3 older guys, like I'm in a 16, 18, 19, maybe even 20, or super early 20s, and then a group of a handful of younger kids, our age, a little bit younger. And what they did was, because my buddy was very small for his age, they had held me back and then had the younger kids basically beat the crap out of my buddy, and told me if I did anything they were gonna kick my butt. And so he's trying to run, they're hitting him, he's trying to get away, they grab him, pull him, and again, all 6 or 7 of these people are black. And if you have that situation as an 8, 9, or 10-year-old, these people are hitting you, saying, hit that white motherfucker, beat his white ass, honky cracker this. There is a valid reason why at that point that person may not like black people for a long time in his life. He didn't wake up one day and just say, oh, that guy looks darker, so I think he's less than me and I want to not live by him. Now, I'm not saying that person for the rest of their life would be justified in ignorantly continuing along as if, all black people are that. But you can't sit there and say that there's no validity to why that person would think that at some point in his life. Similarly, when you have a black person who may come out to the suburbs where I live and get pulled over 2 or 3 times, they may see that as a sign of racism. At the same time, maybe they were speeding 3 times. Maybe they had their tail light out and never fixed it, and they got pulled over for that here. But you can't say that person's perspective is not valid. You can counter it. You should counter it, point it out, but that this comes down to, I don't care if you are racist. I don't care if you're sexist. I don't care if you hate white people. I care why you think that. Because when I know individually, and this is for me individually, when I talk to people who have these biased opinions, the way that I present facts to them, the way I present arguments to them and debate them is based on why they think that way. It's not, convincing someone is not a uniform way. There's not a right and a wrong way to convince every single person who thinks thought X that thought Y is better. Some people you can talk to on an emotional level. Some people need anecdotal evidence, life experiences. Some people need statistics, empirical evidence, things like that. And knowing what that person did or had happened to them to think that is important. Another example that I talk about all the time is Trump supporters. I voted for Trump. Seems to be a recurring subject matter here, but I've talked to several people who they voted for Donald Trump, and I asked why, and their answer was something akin to, my mom and dad are Republicans, my parents told me so, and I tell them that that's the stupidest reason that you should give. You can give the right answer, but still be wrong in the why. I'm big on that. When I talk to people, I try to ask questions that tell me what kind of person they are, not what kind of things they think. I don't want to know what they identify as. I want to know what in their life led them to think the things that they do. And very often in my life, when I'm having conversations with people about some of these thoughts, it's pretty amazing how few people can explain the rationale behind their thoughts and their opinions of anything, whether it's sports, people, politics, financial and economic issues. And I implore people to explore that, because in this society we're so caught up on labeling people and going from there. And if you want to be a person who can validate yourself, debate with others, you need to get to those roots. Why do you think the things that you think? And you should be skeptical of the things that you think. I was in the Marine Corps for 6 years, and one of the things that I didn't like was when you asked, well, how come we did this? Why did we do this? Well, because it's the way that we've always done it. And in that environment, you shut your mouth and move along, But I'm not in the military anymore, and what that is just an ignorant way of thinking. Military environment is very different because of what you're there to do. So I can understand that certain levels of skepticism are more of a hindrance than a help. But out here, that's different. You should be thinking about the things you do, questioning other people, questioning yourself. Reflecting is a big thing. My mind is crazy machine sometimes, and I can't shut it off. And I do spend a lot of time thinking about the things I do and say, and interactions that I had with someone, things that they said. And sometimes it's healthy and creates some anxiety, sleep issues, and all that good stuff. But at the same time, I can have these conversations with you, and I can have these conversations with other people, and I can have these reflection exercises with myself and do them honestly. And I think that's important. So again, I implore you to take a moment. Remember, I don't care what you think. I care why you think it, because that's what makes a person who they are. And that's how you find out what kind of substance, what kind of depth a person has, what degree of actualization they have, what experiences they have to validate or invalidate their positions in life. I believe that that's all I have. Second video, uploading it today. Once again, thanks, and go easy.